I was coming home from the Notary, excited to tell my daughter that my brother left me a beach villa and 2 apartments. As I approached the house, I heard their voices through the open window. What I heard next made me freeze in absolute horror. "Starting today, Mom? You eat your own food. Stop thinking I'm going to support some old woman." My son Darren's voice cut through the autumn air like a knife. He laughed, actually laughed, and I heard Kyra, his wife, join in. I stood there on my own front lawn, keys in hand, feeling like someone had punched me in the chest. Leonard Hale, 58 years old, HVAC contractor for 36 years, widower for 3, and apparently, according to my own children, a burden. "Your dad's so pathetic," Kyra said. I could picture her perfectly, probably sprawled on my couch, the one I'd bought with money from fixing air conditioners in 100-degree attics. Still wearing those stained work shirts like he's some kind of hero. It's embarrassing when he shows up anywhere. "He thinks we owe him something because Mom died," Darren replied. "Like that's our fault. He needs to get over it." My wife Sarah died of cancer 3 years ago. I held her hand for 72 hours straight in that hospital room. These were the children she'd raised, the children she'd begged me to take care of, to keep the family together. I backed away from the window quietly. The envelope from the Notary felt heavy in my jacket pocket. My brother Tom had died 2 months ago, no kids of his own, and he'd left everything to me. A beach villa worth maybe $400,000, 2 rental apartments in town that brought in decent money. I'd been planning to split it all between Darren and Megan, my daughter, help them get ahead, set them up. I got back in my truck and drove to the hardware store, bought some things, drove around for 2 hours thinking. When I finally came home, I walked in through the front door loud and cheerful. "Hey, anybody home?" Darren appeared from the living room, Kyra right behind him. Both of them smiled, normal, happy, like I hadn't just heard them 15 feet away. "Dad, how'd it go at the lawyer's office?" Darren asked. I looked at him, really looked at him. My son, 6 feet tall, soft around the middle from his IT job, wearing a polo shirt that probably cost more than I spent on clothes in a year. His hair was gelled, his watch was expensive, his smile was fake. "Oh, you know, legal stuff, nothing exciting." I set my keys on the table. "How was your day?" Good, just hanging out." He glanced at Kyra. "Actually, Dad, we were hoping to talk to you about something." Here it comes, I thought. "Sure, what's up?" "Well, now that Uncle Tom passed, God rest his soul, we were thinking about the inheritance situation." Darren sat down, getting comfortable. This was rehearsed. "Kyra and I have been looking at houses. The market's crazy right now, and we were hoping, since you're getting those properties from Uncle Tom, maybe you could help us out with a down payment." I let the silence stretch, watched him get uncomfortable. "How much were you thinking?" I finally asked. "Maybe 50,000? We'd pay you back, obviously." "Obviously," I repeated. "Let me think about it." "Dad, come on." His voice got an edge. "We're family. Mom would have wanted you to help us." And there it was, using Sarah against me. I felt that cold thing in my chest spread a little further. "Your mother would have wanted a lot of things," I said quietly. "I'll think about it. That's all I'm saying right now." Kyra huffed. "We're just trying to build a life, Leonard. Some support would be nice." Leonard. Not Dad. She'd called me Dad for 8 years. Now suddenly Leonard. "I said I'll think about it," I repeated, and walked to the kitchen. I heard them whisper arguing as they left. The front door closed a little too hard. I stood at the kitchen sink, looking out at the backyard Sarah had loved, and started making plans. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the game, went to family dinners, listened to Darren complain about his job, watched Kyra post photos on her phone constantly, trying to look like some kind of influencer, met my daughter Megan and her fiancé Brandon for coffee. They had the same energy. entitled, impatient, looking at me like I was a walking ATM. "Dad, Brandon and I want to get married next summer," Megan said during that coffee meeting. She was 28, a nurse, should have been more together than this. "But the venue costs are insane. Since you're getting Uncle Tom's properties, we were hoping you could contribute." "Contribute how much?" "40,000? She said it like a question, but her eyes were demanding. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime event." Brandon leaned forward. He was 33, a gym trainer with arms bigger than my head and a brain smaller than a walnut. "We'd really appreciate it, Leonard. Family should support family." That phrase again. Family should support family, from people who'd apparently decided I was a burden to be managed. "I'll think about it," I said. "You keep saying that," Megan snapped. "When are you actually going to help us?" I looked at my daughter. Sarah's eyes, Sarah's nose, none of Sarah's warmth. "When I'm ready," I said, and left them sitting there. That night, I drove to the beach villa for the first time since Tom died. It was beautiful. Right on the coast, isolated road, 3 bedrooms, wraparound porch. The sunset painted everything gold and red. Tom had loved this place, spent his weekends here, died happy according to his friends. I sat on the porch and made phone calls. First to Patrick Rourke, my lawyer friend from high school. We'd kept in touch over the years. He was semi-retired now, but sharp as ever. "Leonard, good to hear from you," he said when he picked up. "How are you holding up?" "Patrick, I need some legal advice. Complicated situation." "Come by tomorrow, we'll talk." Next, I called a security company, got an estimate for cameras and an alarm system for the villa. Then I called a property management company about the 2 rental apartments. Got details on market rates, lease agreements, all of it. When I got home that night, there was a message on my answering machine from Darren. "Dad, it's me. Listen, my birthday's coming up in 3 weeks. Family tradition, right? We were hoping you could host dinner. Maybe cook like you used to when Mom was around. We've got about 19 people who want to come. Let me know. Love you." Click. I played it back 3 times. Listened to the false warmth in his voice. The assumption that I'd just say yes. The casual mention of 19 people, like that was nothing. Family tradition. Sarah had started it. Big birthday dinners, everyone together, me cooking all day. She'd loved it. Made her feel like we were solid, connected. I looked at the phone and smiled for the first time in weeks. "Sure, Darren," I said to the empty room. "Let's have a family dinner. Let's really bring everyone together." The next morning, I met Patrick at his office. It was downtown, above a bookstore, windows looking out on Main Street. Our town was small, maybe 8,000 people, mostly working class. Everyone knew everyone, which meant everyone knew everyone's business. Patrick poured coffee and listened while I explained everything. The inheritance, the overheard conversation, the demands for money, the fake smiles and the real contempt. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and whistled low. "Leonard, I'm sorry. That's brutal." "I want to protect the properties," I said, "and I want to make sure they can't come after me legally, can't claim I promised them anything, can't force me into selling or giving them money." "You're thinking revocable trust?" "Something like that. What are my options?" Patrick pulled out a legal pad and started writing. We spent 2 hours going through possibilities. By the end, we had a plan. He'd draw up documents putting the properties in a trust that I controlled completely. I could change beneficiaries whenever I wanted. Everything was protected. Everything was mine to do with as I pleased. "This is ironclad," Patrick said. "But Leonard, be careful. Legal protection is one thing. Family warfare is another." "I'm counting on the warfare," I said. He looked at me. We'd known each other 40 years. He knew what I was planning without me saying it. "Make it hurt," he finally said, "but make it legal." That's exactly what I intend to do. I spent the next week preparing. Had the security system installed at the villa, top of the line, Cameras covering every angle, motion sensors, the works. The rental apartments got the same treatment. I met with the property management company and had them draw up lease agreements with very specific clauses. Noise restrictions, guest limits, mandatory property maintenance, all legal, all enforceable, all designed to be nearly impossible to follow for entitled brats who'd never had to follow rules. Meanwhile, I kept playing the doting father, showed up at Darren's house with groceries, helped Megan move furniture in her apartment, smiled, nodded, listened to them complain, and I heard more. Oh, I heard so much more, because I'd learned something useful. When people think you're old and unimportant, they forget to lower their voices. They talk around you like you're furniture. At Darren's house, helping fix a leaky faucet, I heard Kyra on the phone in the next room. No, we just have to wait until he actually transfers the properties. Then we can pressure him to give us money. Brandon says we should suggest a retirement home, make him feel like he can't handle things anymore. Then we'd have control of everything. In Megan's apartment, putting together a bookshelf, I heard her tell Brandon, "Dad's going to die eventually. Probably soon, the way he looks. We just need to make sure we're positioned right when it happens. I already talked to Darren. We're going to push him to name us as beneficiaries on everything." I kept working, kept my face blank, kept turning screws and tightening bolts while my own children plotted how to best rob me and warehouse me somewhere until I died. The coldness in my chest wasn't cold anymore. It was ice, hard and clear and sharp. Patrick called me when the trust documents were ready. I went to his office, signed everything, got copies. The properties were mine, protected, untouchable. "They're going to be angry," Patrick warned. "They're already angry," I said. "They just haven't shown it yet." 3 days before Darren's birthday dinner, I went to the grocery store. Not my usual place. The discount store out by the highway. I bought cases of canned beans, cheap white bread, the kind of stuff you'd see at a food bank. The checker looked at me weird but didn't say anything. I also bought expensive cloth napkins, fancy serving platters, wine glasses, everything you'd need to set a beautiful table. At home, I practiced, arranged the canned beans on the platters like they were gourmet appetizers, set the bread on cutting boards like artisan loaves, made it look almost elegant. Almost. The day before the dinner, Harriet Boone cornered me at the post office. Harriet was 73, widowed twice, and the town's gossip central. If you wanted information spread, you told Harriet. If you wanted information gathered, you asked Harriet. "Leonard, I heard you're having a big birthday dinner for Darren tomorrow," she said, her eyes bright with curiosity. "That's right, family tradition." "How wonderful. After losing Sarah, it must be nice to have the family close." "Oh, we're very close," I said, putting just enough edge on it that she noticed. "Everything all right, dear?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. Harriet was a gossip, but she wasn't mean. She just liked knowing things. And right now, I needed her to know something. "Harriet, can I tell you something in confidence?" Her eyes lit up. In confidence was code for "please tell everyone." "Of course, Leonard. I've been hearing some concerning things about how my children view me. It's made me rethink some decisions about Tom's inheritance." "Oh my." "I'm planning to make some changes. Big changes. Thought you should know in case things get uncomfortable tomorrow." I patted her arm and walked away, leaving her practically vibrating with curiosity. By tomorrow night, the whole town would be watching. Perfect. The day of the dinner arrived. I spent the morning setting up my dining room like I was hosting a banquet. The good plates, the fancy platters, candles, flowers, the whole show. Then I arranged the food, cans of beans, opened and dumped onto serving dishes. Bread, still in plastic, laid out like it was something special. A pitcher of tap water with ice. That was it. That was dinner. I stood back and looked at my work. It was perfect. Beautiful presentation. Garbage food. The ultimate insult disguised as hospitality. People started arriving at 6. Darren and Kyra first, dressed up, taking photos for her social media before they even got through the door. Then Megan and Brandon, then aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. 19 people total, all expecting a feast. They crowded into my living room laughing, drinking the wine they'd brought, completely unaware. I watched them from the kitchen doorway. These were the people who loved free food, according to Darren. These were the people I'd fed for years. Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, random Sundays. I'd cooked until my feet ached and my back screamed, and they'd eaten and laughed and left me with dishes and empty thanks. Sarah used to say I was too generous. They'll take advantage, she'd warn. I'd always laughed it off. She'd been right. At 6:30, I called everyone to the table. They came in chattering, taking seats, grabbing wine glasses. I watched their faces as they saw the food, the confusion, the frozen smiles, the sideways glances at each other. "Is this a joke?" Darren finally asked. "This is dinner," I said calmly. "Please, everyone eat." "Dad, this is canned beans and bread," Megan hissed. "That's correct." "Where's the actual food?" "This is the actual food." The room went silent. 19 people staring at me. Some looked angry, some looked embarrassed. A few were trying not to laugh. I saw Aunt Martha, Sarah's sister, cover her mouth. She knew something was coming. Darren stood up. "What the hell is this?" "This is me, taking advice I overheard," I said. I kept my voice level, calm. Let them remember Sarah, who'd taught me to never raise my voice when I was really angry. Cold fury was more effective than hot rage. I heard someone say, and I quote, "Starting today, Mom, you eat your own food. Stop thinking I'm going to support some old woman." I thought that was excellent advice. So starting today, you all eat your own food. Kyra went white. Darren's face turned red. "You heard that?" Darren said. "Dad, I can explain." "No need." I gestured at the table. "This is what you get now. This is the support level you've earned. Bon appetit." I walked to the door, grabbed my jacket, and left. Behind me, the room erupted, shouting, accusations, chairs scraping. I got in my truck and drove to the beach villa, and I didn't look back. My phone started ringing 10 minutes later. I turned it off. At the villa, I sat on the porch and watched the ocean. The sun was setting, red and orange and purple spreading across the water. Tom had sat here every evening the last year of his life, according to his friends. He'd died of a heart attack, quick and painless, right here on this porch, found with a smile on his face. I understood why now. This place was peace. This place was clean. This place had no lies. My phone stayed off for 3 days. When I finally turned it back on, I had 67 messages. I deleted them all without listening. The war had started, and I was going to win. As the story unfolds, hit the hype button, like, subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive them or walk away? The fallout from the dinner party hit town like a tsunami. By Monday morning, everyone knew. Harriet Boone had done her job perfectly. The whole story was out there, twisted and exaggerated and spread through every coffee shop, grocery store, and church group in town. Some people thought I was cruel. Most people thought it was hilarious. A few thought it was both. I didn't care. I went to work like always, fixed air conditioners, replaced compressors, crawled through attics in the October heat. My phone rang constantly. I ignored it. On Tuesday, Darren showed up at a job site. I was on a roof, checking a commercial unit at the hardware store, when I saw his car pull up. He got out and stood there, hands on his hips, glaring up at me. "Dad, we need to talk." "I'm working," I called down. "This is important." "So is this compressor. It's making a weird noise." "Dad, seriously, come down." I finished what I was doing, took my time, climbed down the ladder. Darren looked terrible. Bags under his eyes, hadn't shaved. His fancy polo shirt was wrinkled. "What do you want?" I asked. I want to apologize. What you heard, that wasn't about you. We were talking about Kyra's mom. She's been asking for money and— Don't, I interrupted. Don't lie to me. I know exactly what I heard. Your voice, Kyra's voice, my house, my window. We're done here. Dad, please, I made a mistake. We both did. But you can't just cut us off like this. We're family. That word again. Family. Like it was a magic spell that would make me forget everything. Family doesn't talk about each other like that, I said. Family doesn't plot to warehouse their father in a retirement home so they can steal his property. Yeah, I heard that too. Kyra's phone call. You think I'm stupid? His face went through several emotions. Shock, guilt, anger, finally settled on defensive. You were eavesdropping? In my own house? That's not eavesdropping. That's being present. You want to talk in private? Go somewhere private. Fine. You're right. We screwed up. But you're really going to throw away your relationship with your son over this? Over some hurt feelings? So what? You're just done with us? You're keeping all of Uncle Tom's money for yourself? Uncle Tom's property is mine to do with as I please, and right now it pleases me to keep it away from people who see me as a walking inheritance check. That's not fair! Life's not fair. Your mother used to say that, remember? He stared at me. I could see him trying to figure out which angle to take. Anger wasn't working. Guilt wasn't working. He finally tried pleading. Dad, we need help. Financially. Things are tight. I've got credit card debt, and Kyra's influencer stuff isn't bringing in money like we thought. We can't afford our rent anymore. I was hoping we could move into one of the apartments you inherited. Just temporarily. And there it was. The real reason for the visit. They wanted free rent. I almost laughed. Instead, I pulled out my phone and made a call. Patrick? It's Leonard. You have those lease agreements ready? Good. I've got a potential tenant here. Can we come by this afternoon? Perfect. I hung up and looked at Darren. You want to rent one of the apartments? Fine. Standard lease. Market rate. We'll sign papers today. Market rate? Dad, come on. We're family. Family rates went out the window when you decided I was a burden. You want the apartment or not? He thought about it. I could see the calculations happening. He was desperate enough to agree. Fine. Market rate. Good. We'll meet at Patrick's office at 4. I climbed back up the ladder and went back to work. Darren stood there for a minute, then left. I allowed myself a small smile. Phase 2 was beginning. That afternoon at Patrick's office, Darren signed a lease agreement he clearly didn't read. The rent was fair, exactly market rate, but the terms were strict, very strict. No guests after 9 p.m., no noise violations, mandatory property maintenance, including lawn care and snow removal, no smoking, no pets without written permission, and a clause that allowed immediate eviction for any lease violation. This is pretty detailed, Darren said, flipping through pages. Standard lease, Patrick said smoothly. Just protecting the property. Darren signed. I signed. Patrick notarized. Done. When can we move in? Darren asked. This weekend, I said. Place is already empty and cleaned. Thanks, Dad. He tried to smile. It looked painful. This means a lot. I nodded and left. Patrick walked me out. He didn't read a word of that lease, Patrick said quietly. I noticed. He's going to violate it within a week. I'm counting on it. 2 days later, Megan called. I was at the villa, doing some repairs on the porch railing, when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Dad. Megan. Silence. I waited her out. I heard about Darren getting the apartment. He rented it, standard terms. Brandon and I need a place too. Can we rent the other apartment? Same terms as Darren. That's fine. Whatever. We just need somewhere to stay. What happened to your current place? Landlord raised the rent. We can't afford it anymore. Brandon's gym cut his hours. Of course they did. I'd heard through the grapevine that Brandon had been late repeatedly, spent more time taking selfies than training clients. Typical. Come by Patrick's office tomorrow. We'll sign papers. Thank you, Dad. Really, I know things have been weird, but this helps. Tomorrow at 10, I said, and hung up. Patrick wasn't even surprised when I called him. Both kids in both apartments? You're playing chess while they're playing checkers. I learned from the best, I said. Sarah was the strategic one. I'm just following her playbook. She'd be proud, Patrick said quietly. And furious. At them, I mean. Yeah, she would be. The next day, Megan and Brandon signed the same lease Darren had signed. Didn't read it. Just signed. Brandon kept checking his phone, taking photos of himself at Patrick's office, probably for social media. Megan looked tired, defeated. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then I remembered hearing her plan to push me into a retirement home, and the feeling passed. Thank you, Daddy, Megan said when we finished. She hadn't called me Daddy in years. The manipulation was transparent. You're welcome. Rent's due the 1st of every month. Late fees after the 5th. It's all in the lease. We'll be good tenants, promise. I'm sure you will be. They moved in over the weekend. Both apartments, filled with my children and their partners, all thinking they'd gotten one over on the old man. Free rent disguised as paid rent. A place to stay. Victory. I gave them exactly 1 week. On day 8, I got a call from my property manager, a stern woman named Rita, who'd been managing rentals for 30 years. Leonard, we've got problems at both apartments. Already? Already. Unit 1, the Hale couple, had a party last night. Noise complaints from 3 different neighbors. Ended at 1 a.m. Unit 2, your daughter and her boyfriend haven't touched the lawn. It's in the lease that they're responsible for it. Also, someone reported seeing unauthorized guests there past midnight multiple times. Document everything, I said. Photos, timestamps, neighbor statements. I want a file. You're going to evict your own kids? I'm going to enforce a lease they signed. There's a difference. Your funeral, Rita said, but I could hear approval in her voice. I drove by both apartments that afternoon. Sure enough, Darren's place had red cups on the porch, cigarette butts in the bushes. Megan's lawn was overgrown, weeds everywhere. Brandon's truck was parked at an angle, taking up 2 spots. I took photos. Lots of photos. Then I called Patrick. I need formal eviction notices drawn up, both apartments, lease violations. Leonard, are you sure? This is going to cause serious family problems. The family problems already exist. I'm just acknowledging them. Give me 2 days. 72 hours after moving in, both Darren and Megan received certified letters, eviction notices, 30 days to vacate, list of lease violations attached, all legal, all documented, all enforceable. The phone calls started immediately. I didn't answer. Let them leave messages. Let them scream into the void. Finally, on the 3rd day of ignored calls, they showed up at the beach villa. All 4 of them. Darren, Kyra, Megan, Brandon. I was on the porch when they drove up. I'd seen them coming on the security cameras, had time to prepare. They piled out of Darren's car and stormed up to the porch. I stayed seated in my chair, coffee in hand. You can't evict us, Darren shouted. We're your kids. I can evict tenants who violate their lease, I said calmly. Which you did, multiple times, in 1 week. It was one party. After 9 p.m., with noise violations. It's in the lease you signed. Dad, this is insane, Megan said. You're really going to throw us out over some stupid rules? I'm going to enforce a legal agreement that you entered into voluntarily, yes. Brandon stepped forward. He was big, gym rat big. Thought his muscles made him intimidating. Maybe you should reconsider, old man. I looked at him, didn't move, didn't blink. Old man? That's interesting. Old man who fixed the plumbing in your girlfriend's apartment last month. Old man who helped you move your weight bench. Old man who's got security cameras covering every inch of this property. You want to try that again, son? He faltered. Kyra grabbed his arm. This is ridiculous, she said. We're family. You're supposed to help us, not sabotage us. I offered help, market rate rental. You took it. Then you broke the rules. Actions have consequences. Novel concept, I know. We'll fix it, Darren said. The lawn, the parties, whatever. Just give us another chance. No. Dad, no, you've had 3 years of chances. Chances to be decent. Chances to be honest. Chances to treat me like something other than a retirement fund. You blew every single one. This is what happens now. You're a selfish bastard, Megan spat. Mom would be ashamed of you. That one hit. I set my coffee down carefully, stood up, walked to the edge of the porch, looked at my daughter. I cleaned her when she couldn't control her bowels. I held her while she cried about leaving you kids without a mom. I promised her I'd take care of you, and I did. For 3 years, I took care of you, helped you move, fixed your cars, lent you money I knew I'd never see again, and the whole time, you were planning how to rob me and warehouse me. So don't you dare tell me what Sarah would think. You didn't earn that right. Silence. Megan was crying. Darren looked sick. Kyra and Brandon just looked angry. You have 30 days, I said. That's the law. Use them to find somewhere else to live. We're done here. I walked into the villa and locked the door, stood there listening to them yell and argue outside. Eventually, they left. I watched them on the security cameras, all piling into Darren's car, probably screaming at each other. I sat down on my couch and felt exactly nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, just that cold, clear ice in my chest. Tom's villa had bookshelves full of his stuff. I pulled down a photo album, pictures of him and me as kids, our parents, Sarah and me on our wedding day, Darren and Megan as babies, Christmas mornings, birthday parties, normal family stuff. I closed the album and put it back. That family was gone. Maybe it had never really existed. Maybe I'd been seeing what I wanted to see, ignoring the truth until it slapped me in the face. My phone buzzed. Text from Harriet Boone. Heard about the evictions. Town's talking. Stay strong. I texted back. Thanks. Then I turned off the phone and went to bed. Tomorrow was another workday, another chance to fix things that were actually fixable, unlike my family. Monday morning came with phone calls. Patrick called at 7 a.m. I'm at the courthouse, filing the restraining order paperwork now. But Leonard, you need to know something. The break-in last night? That's going to help us. Judge will see it as proof of escalating harassment. Good. Also, the arraignment's at 10. You should probably be there. I'll be there. I showed up at the courthouse at 9:30. Small-town courthouse, old building, marble floors worn smooth by 100 years of feet. I sat in the back of the courtroom. Darren and Brandon were brought in at 10. Both still in the same clothes from last night, both looking exhausted. Kyra was there, front row. When she saw me, her face twisted into something ugly. I just looked at her until she looked away. The judge was a woman named Patricia Horn, 65, stern, no patience for nonsense. I'd met her once at a Chamber of Commerce event. She'd struck me as fair but harsh. She listened to the charges: breaking and entering, attempted burglary, criminal trespass. Both men pleaded not guilty. The prosecutor, a young guy I didn't know, asked for $10,000 bail each. The defense attorney, some kid who looked fresh out of law school, argued for release on recognizance. Family men, no prior records, property dispute gone wrong. Judge Horn looked at the security footage, looked at the photos of my broken window, looked at Darren and Brandon. Bail set at $5,000 each. Next court date is November 15th. Defendants are ordered to have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means no contact. No phone calls, no texts, no social media posts about him. No going within 500 feet of any property he owns. Am I clear? Yes, Your Honor, both attorneys said. Kyra posted bail. I watched her sign paperwork at the clerk's window. She was crying. Real tears this time, not the fake ones from the news interview. As they were leaving, Darren saw me. Our eyes met. For a second, I thought I saw something like understanding, acceptance. Then it was gone, replaced by anger. This isn't over, he mouthed. I just smiled. Patrick met me outside the courthouse. The restraining order hearing is scheduled for tomorrow, 2 p.m. Judge Horn again, lucky for us. She's already seen the break-in evidence. This should go smoothly. What about Megan and Kyra? They'll be served papers today. They have 24 hours to respond. My guess is they won't bother. They'll just agree to stay away from you. And if they don't? Then they'll have to explain to a judge why they should be allowed to continue harassing someone who just had 2 people break into his house. I went to work, had 3 service calls, fixed an ice maker, replaced a bad thermostat, installed a new furnace, normal work, good work, physical labor that made sense, fix the broken thing, restore function, simple cause and effect. Between jobs, my phone rang, unknown number. I answered. Mr. Hale, this is Channel 7 News again. We'd like to do a follow-up story about the break-in. Can you comment? You did a story about what good people my kids were. Now they're arrested for breaking into my house. You want to comment? Here's one. Maybe do actual journalism instead of just repeating whatever sob story people tell you. I hung up. Patrick would probably yell at me for that. I didn't care. I was done playing nice. That afternoon, I went back to the villa. The broken window was fixed. I'd called a glass company first thing in the morning. Professional work. Expensive. I'd add it to the civil suit Patrick was already preparing. Darren and Brandon would pay for every penny of this. I was sitting on the porch when a car pulled up. Not a car I recognized. A woman got out, late 50s, expensive clothes. Looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. She walked up to the porch steps but didn't climb them. Smart. Mr. Hale? Yes? I'm Diane Foster, Kyra's mother. That's where I knew the face from. Kyra looked just like her. Same sharp features, same calculating eyes. Mrs. Foster, what can I do for you? I want you to drop the charges against my son-in-law and your son. No. They made a mistake. They're sorry. They'll pay for the damage. There's no need to ruin their lives over this. They broke into my house at 11 p.m. with a crowbar. That's not a mistake. That's a crime. They were desperate. You evicted them. You cut them off. You've been harassing them for weeks. They just wanted to talk to you. I've been harassing them? I stood up. Mrs. Foster, your daughter and my son have been plotting to steal my property, declare me incompetent, and warehouse me in a nursing home. They filed false police reports. They went to the news with lies. They called social services to try to have me declared mentally unfit. And when all that failed, they tried to break into my house. So no, I'm not dropping the charges. And if you don't leave my property right now, I'll file charges against you for trespassing. She went red. You're a bitter old man who can't stand to see his children succeed. She left, tires squealing, dramatic exit. I sat back down and finished my coffee. January brought cold winds and colder news. The criminal trial date was set for March 15th. Darren and Brandon had hired a better lawyer, guy named Malcolm Pierce. I'd heard of him. He specialized in defense work, got rich kids out of trouble, expensive, professional, dangerous. Patrick called me when he heard. They're playing for keeps now. Pierce doesn't come cheap. Someone's funding this. Kyra's parents, probably. Her mom came by after the arraignment, tried to get me to drop charges. They're going to paint you as the aggressor. Old man who lost his mind after his wife died, harassed his children, drove them to desperation. They were just trying to retrieve family heirlooms when you called the cops. Family heirlooms? I inherited that property from my brother. They have zero claim to anything in it. Doesn't matter. It's a narrative. Pierce will sell it to a jury, make them sympathetic. Young couple driven to extremes by a vindictive father. So what do? We prepare. The security footage is clear. The timeline is documented. We show the jury exactly what happened. But Leonard, you need to be ready for them to attack your character, your parenting, your marriage, everything. Let them try. February was depositions. I sat in Patrick's conference room for 6 hours while Malcolm Pierce asked me questions designed to make me look bad. Did I drink? Yes, occasionally. How much? A beer or two. Did I have anger problems? No. Had I ever been violent with my children? No. Did I resent their relationship with their mother? No. On and on. Every question a trap, every answer scrutinized. He showed me photos of Darren and Megan as kids, Christmas mornings, birthday parties, normal family stuff. These were happy times, weren't they, Mr. Hale? Yes. What changed? They did. Or maybe they were always like this and I was too blind to see it. Like what? Selfish, entitled, willing to lie and manipulate to get what they wanted. That's a harsh assessment of your own children. It's an accurate assessment. You don't think you bear any responsibility for how they turned out? I take full responsibility for spoiling them, for not teaching them that actions have consequences. I'm fixing that mistake now. Pierce smiled like he'd gotten what he wanted. Patrick kicked me under the table. I'd said too much, given him ammunition. Darren's deposition was different. I wasn't allowed to attend, but Patrick was. He called me after. That's a lie. It's his truth. That's the problem. He believes it, or he's convinced himself he believes it. Either way, he's sympathetic. What about the break-in? He says it was a moment of desperation, that he just wanted to talk to you, that he never intended to hurt anyone. Brandon backed him up, said it was his idea to use the crowbar just to pry open a stuck window, not as a weapon. The security footage shows otherwise. They'll say the footage is ambiguous, shot in the dark, easy to misinterpret intentions. This is insane. This is the system. Welcome to trial prep. The town was divided. Half the people I talked to thought I was doing the right thing. The other half thought I'd gone too far. A petition started circulating. Dropped the charges against Darren Hale and Brandon Cole. Got maybe 200 signatures. Patrick said it was meaningless. Judge Horn wouldn't care about public opinion. In late February, something unexpected happened. Kyra filed for divorce. The news hit the local gossip channels like a bomb. Harriet Boone called me at 7 a.m. Leonard, did you hear? Hear what? Kyra's divorcing Darren, filed papers yesterday. I sat up in bed. What? It's all over town. She's claiming emotional distress. Married into a toxic family. Seeking full custody of any future assets. It's brutal. After I hung up, I called Patrick. Did you hear? Just got the notification. Darren's attorney sent a courtesy email. This changes things. How? If Kyra's divorcing him, she's cutting ties, which means she's no longer bound by their united front. She might flip, testify against him to save herself. Would that help us? It would destroy them. If Kyra admits they planned the break-in together, that they were trying to steal property documents, that's conspiracy, premeditation, much worse than a desperate impulse. I thought about it. Kyra was smart, ruthless. She'd married Darren for his potential income and his family connections. Now that those were gone, she was abandoning ship. Typical. Will she flip? Depends on what kind of deal the prosecutor offers her. But Leonard, this could be the break we need. 2 weeks later, the prosecutor called Patrick. They'd offered Kyra immunity in exchange for testimony. She'd taken it. The trial was going to be ugly. March 15th arrived. I wore a suit. Patrick had insisted. Look respectable, look professional, look like the victim you are. The courthouse was packed. Small-town drama. Everyone wanted a front-row seat. I saw faces I knew. Harriet Boone, Chief Walton, Rita, my property manager. the store owner whose roof I'd fixed, half the church potluck crowd. I also saw Megan. She was sitting behind Darren. Our eyes met. She looked away. The trial lasted 3 days. The prosecutor presented the security footage. Clear as day, Darren and Brandon approaching the house, checking doors. Brandon with the crowbar, the broken window, the alarm, everything documented. Malcolm Pierce tried to argue that it wasn't clear what they intended. Maybe they were checking if I was okay. Maybe they heard something suspicious. Maybe the crowbar was for self-defense in case there was an intruder. The jury looked skeptical. Then Kyra took the stand. She was dressed conservatively, no makeup, hair pulled back, looking vulnerable and honest. Malcolm Pierce looked nervous. He knew what was coming. The prosecutor asked her to describe the events leading up to the break-in. Darren was obsessed with his father's property. He felt like he deserved it, like it should have been his by right. When Leonard inherited everything from his brother, Darren felt betrayed. He started planning ways to get control of the assets. What kind of planning? Legal challenges, trying to prove Leonard was mentally incompetent, fake police reports, anything that would give us leverage. Did he discuss breaking into the property? Yes, he said there were documents in the house. Property deeds, wills, things he could use to challenge Leonard's ownership. Brandon offered to help. They went together. Did you approve of this plan? No. I told Darren it was stupid, that he'd get caught. But he wouldn't listen. He was desperate. Did Darren intend to harm his father? She hesitated. This was the critical moment. Patrick leaned forward. I don't know. But he was angry. Really angry. And Brandon had that crowbar. I was scared something bad would happen. Malcolm Pierce's cross-examination tried to shake her testimony, tried to paint her as a bitter ex-wife making things up for revenge, but she held firm, calm, believable. The jury was watching Darren now. He looked sick. His lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Brandon's defense was even worse. His attorney tried to claim he was just helping a friend, that he had no idea what Darren intended. But the security footage showed him with the crowbar, showed him trying to swing it through the window. No way to spin that into innocence. I testified on day 3, told the truth, the overheard conversation, the evictions, the escalating harassment, the break-in. Patrick had coached me. Be factual, be calm, don't get emotional. Let the facts speak. Malcolm Pierce tried to make me angry on cross-examination, asked about my relationship with Sarah, asked if I resented my children, asked if I was motivated by revenge. Mr. Hale, isn't it true that you've been systematically destroying your children's lives? No. I've been protecting my property and my peace. They've been destroying their own lives. You evicted them. You cut them off financially. You had them arrested. You're prosecuting them in criminal court. And you claim you're the victim? With disproportionate force. With appropriate consequences. Do you love your children, Mr. Hale? I paused. The courtroom went silent. Patrick tensed. This was the moment Pierce had been building toward. My answer would define everything. I loved the children I thought I had, the children I raised, but those children don't exist. Maybe they never did. What I have now are 2 adults who see me as an obstacle and a bank account. Do I love them? I don't know. But I don't trust them, and I won't let them hurt me anymore. Pierce looked satisfied. He'd gotten me to admit ambiguity, doubt. The jury would see a father who'd given up on his children. But Patrick smiled. He knew better. Honesty was more powerful than perfect sentiment. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, came back with a verdict just before dinner. Guilty. Both counts. Both defendants. Darren put his head in his hands. Brandon stared straight ahead. Megan ran out of the courtroom crying. Sentencing was set for April 1st. They were looking at up to 5 years, probably wouldn't get that much. First offense. But they'd do time. Both of them. Walking out of the courthouse, I felt empty. No victory, no relief, just the cold weight of finality. Patrick walked me to my truck. You won. Doesn't feel like winning. Give it time. I drove to the villa, sat on the porch, watched the ocean. The sun was setting, red and orange and purple, beautiful, indifferent. The ocean didn't care about trials or families or broken windows. It just kept moving, in and out, forever. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Dad? Megan. She wasn't supposed to contact me, restraining order, but I didn't hang up. You're violating the order. I don't care. I need to say something. Then say it. I hate you. I hate what you've done to our family. I hate that you cared more about being right than about your own children. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed Darren's life, Brandon's life. And for what? A house? Some money? Was it worth it? Yes. Silence. She hadn't expected that answer. How can you say that? Because it's true. Your brother and his friend broke into my house. They could have hurt me. They could have stolen from me. And they did it because you all spent 3 years treating me like a burden and a wallet. So yes, it was worth it. I sleep fine at night knowing I held people accountable for their actions. You're a monster. Maybe. But I'm a monster who eats his own food now. Thanks for the call, Megan. Don't do it again. I hung up, blocked the number. The sun finished setting. The sky went dark. Stars came out. I sat there until midnight. Then I went inside, locked the door, went to bed. Tomorrow was April. 1 year since Sarah died. 1 year since everything changed. I'd survived. That would have to be enough. April came with the sentencing. Judge Horn gave Darren 18 months. Brandon got 24. Both would serve time in county, not state prison. Possibility of early release for good behavior, but they'd be locked up, criminal records, felony convictions, lives permanently marked. I wasn't there for the sentencing. Patrick went, called me after. Darren asked if you wanted to say anything to the judge. Character statement. Plea for mercy. What did you tell him? I told him you declined. Good. Leonard, he cried, really broke down, said he was sorry, that he loved you, that he'd do anything to make this right. He had a year to make it right. He chose to break my window instead. I know, I'm just telling you what happened. I appreciate it. Send me the final paperwork. I want copies of everything. Will do. After the sentencing, something unexpected happened. The town stopped talking about it. The drama was over. Verdict was in. People moved on. I became just another face again. The HVAC guy, the one who lives in the beach villa. Normal. I liked normal. May was planting season. I started a garden at the villa. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs, stuff Sarah used to grow. I'd never had the patience for it before. But now I had time, had space, had peace. The garden grew. I watched it, watered it, weeded it. Simple work, honest work. Everything you put in, you got back out. No lies, no manipulation, just sun and soil and water. In June, I got a letter from Darren, prison mail. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won again. Dad, I've had a lot of time to think in here, about what I did, about what I said, about the kind of person I became. You were right. I was selfish, entitled. I used you. And when that stopped working, I tried to hurt you. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve that. I'm writing to tell you that I understand now why you did what you did. You were protecting yourself, and I made that necessary. Mom would be ashamed of me. I know that. I'm ashamed of me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fix what I broke, but I'm going to try. When I get out, I'm going to be different. Better. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to respond. I just needed you to know. Darren. I read it 3 times. Looked for manipulation. Found something that might have been sincerity. Might have been another game. I didn't know. Didn't care. I put the letter in a drawer and didn't respond. July brought Patrick to the villa with documents. The civil suit settled. Darren and Brandon are paying full restitution, $23,000. Covers the window, the security system upgrades, court costs, everything. How are they paying from prison? Payment plan. Garnished wages when they get out. Kyra's contribution from the divorce settlement. It'll take years, but they'll pay. Good. There's something else. Darren signed over his share of any future inheritance. Legal document. Notarized. He's relinquishing any claim to your estate. I looked at Patrick. He didn't have to do that. No, but he did. Make of that what you will. I filed the document with the others. Didn't think about it. The estate was going to charity anyway. The Hale Animal Rescue Foundation. I'd set it up in May. Tom would have liked that. He'd always loved dogs. August was quiet. September was peaceful. October brought leaves and cold winds and another birthday. 59 years old. I spent it alone at the villa. Made myself a steak, watched the ocean, went to bed early, no party, no family, no drama, just another day. It was the best birthday I'd had in years. November came around again. 1 year since the dinner party. 1 year since I'd served them beans and bread. The memory made me smile. I was doing okay, better than okay. The business was thriving. The villa was perfect. The garden had produced enough vegetables to last through winter. Life was simple, clean, honest. I didn't miss my kids. That surprised me. I thought I would. But the absence of stress was worth more than the presence of family. Maybe that made me cold. Maybe that made me wrong. But it made me happy. Harriet Boone invited me to Thanksgiving dinner at her place. Big community thing. Everyone welcome. I almost said no, then thought about eating alone. Decided to go. The dinner was crowded, 30 people. Good food, good conversation. I sat next to Rita, my property manager, and her husband. We talked about rentals and property values and the weather. Normal talk, adult talk, no drama. Halfway through dinner, Harriet clinked her glass, made everyone quiet. I want to do a gratitude circle, everyone share one thing they're grateful for this year. Groans around the table, but people played along, health, family, jobs, the usual stuff. When it got to me, I thought about lying, saying something safe, but Harriet was looking at me with those sharp eyes. She wanted truth. I'm grateful for clarity, I said, for knowing who people really are, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The table went quiet. Some people looked uncomfortable. Others nodded. Harriet raised her glass. To clarity. May we all have the courage to see truth and act on it. We drank. The conversation moved on, but I felt lighter, like I'd said something important out loud, claimed it, owned it. December came, a year since the last Christmas with family. This year, I decorated. Nothing crazy. A small tree, some lights, made the villa feel festive. Did it for me, for Tom's memory, for the idea that life continues even after everything breaks. I was hanging lights on the porch when a car pulled up. I tensed. Checked the security camera on my phone first. It was Megan's car. She got out, stood by the car, didn't approach the house. I walked to the edge of the porch. We looked at each other across 50 feet of space. The restraining order had expired in October. We were legally allowed to be near each other now, but neither of us had tried. Dad, she called. Megan. Can we talk? About what? About everything. About Darren, about me, about us. There is no us anymore. Please, 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I thought about saying no, thought about walking inside and locking the door, but something in her face stopped me. She looked different, thinner, older, tired. You can come to the porch steps, but you're not coming inside. She walked over, stopped at the bottom of the steps, looked up at me. I heard about Darren's letter, that he gave up his inheritance claim. He did. Brandon got out last week. Early release. He's moving to Portland. Away from here. Away from me. Good for him. I'm not here to ask for money, or property, or anything like that. I'm here to apologize. I waited. You called me a burden. You planned to put me in a home. You stood by while Darren broke into my house. I know. I know all of it. And I can't take any of it back. But I can tell you that I was wrong. Completely wrong. And I'm sorry. Why now? Why a year later? Because Darren wrote me from prison. Told me what he told you. That he understood why you did what you did. That we made it necessary. And he was right. We did. I did. I made you defend yourself against your own children. That's unforgivable. She was crying. Real tears. Not manipulation. Just grief. What do you want from me, Megan? Nothing. I don't want anything. I just needed you to know that I understand now. What we did. What we became. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be better. Not for you. For me. For Mom. For the person I used to be before everything went wrong. I looked at my daughter. 29 years old. Sarah's eyes. Sarah's nose. Maybe some of Sarah's heart buried under all the damage. I'm glad you understand. But understanding doesn't fix this. Some things stay broken. I know. But broken is better than pretending. Right? Right. She nodded. Started to leave. Turned back. The villa looks good. Mom would have loved it here. She would have. Goodbye, Dad. Goodbye, Megan. She drove away. I finished hanging the lights, stood back and looked at my work. The villa glowed, warm, inviting, home. I went inside and made dinner, ate alone, cleaned up, sat on the couch with a book. Normal night, normal life, but something felt different. Not better, not worse, just different. Like a weight I'd been carrying had shifted, made itself smaller, manageable. I thought about Megan's apology, about Darren's letter, about the possibility of change. I didn't trust it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I acknowledged it, filed it away, left the door open a crack. Not for them, for me. So I didn't become the bitter old man they'd accused me of being. Christmas Eve, I drove by my old house. The new owners had it decorated, lights everywhere, inflatable Santa, the whole show, kids' bikes on the porch, normal family, normal life. I didn't feel sad, just nostalgic. For a past that maybe never existed, for a family that was more imagination than reality. I drove back to the villa, made myself dinner, poured a drink, toasted the ocean. Here's to year 2, I said, still eating our own food. The ocean didn't answer. But the lights on the porch glowed warm. The house was solid. The future was mine. I'd survived. More than survived. I'd rebuilt, reclaimed, redefined. Leonard Hale, 59 years old, HVAC contractor, widower, stranger to his children, owner of his own life. It was enough. It had to be enough. It was. January brought snow and a phone call from Patrick. Leonard, I've got news. Darren's being released early. Good behavior. He'll be out next month. I was on the porch, watching the ocean freeze at the edges. Okay? Just okay? You're not concerned? Should I be? Restraining orders expired. He served his time. He's free to do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't come near me. He's also broke. No job lined up. Criminal record. He's going to struggle. That's his problem, not mine. Cold, Leonard. Realistic, Patrick. We hung up. I went back to watching the ice form. Nature's version of rebuilding. Water freezing into something harder. Something that could bear weight. February came. Darren got out. I heard through Harriet that he'd moved in with a friend from high school. Guy named Tommy Riggs. They'd been close before Darren moved away for college. Tommy owned a construction company. Had offered Darren work. Labor stuff, physical work, honest work. I approved, even though nobody asked me to. March brought warmer weather and a surprise. I was at the hardware store buying paint when I saw Darren. He was in the lumber section, loading 2x4s into a cart, wearing work clothes, stained and worn, actually working. Our eyes met. He froze. I nodded. Just once. Acknowledgement. He nodded back. Then I turned and left. That was all. No confrontation, no conversation. Just two men who used to know each other, now strangers. April was garden season again. I planted more this year, expanded the beds, added berry bushes, made plans for a greenhouse. The villa was becoming a real homestead. Self-sufficient, independent. On April 10th, my 60th birthday, I woke up to find a package on my porch. No note, no return address, just a box wrapped in brown paper. I opened it carefully. Inside was a framed photo. Sarah and me on our wedding day, young, happy, hopeful. I remembered the moment. Right after the ceremony, the photographer had told us to look at each other, not the camera. Sarah had laughed. I'd laughed. We'd been in love. The frame was new, expensive, handmade. Someone had cared about this. I knew who. Didn't need a note. I put the photo on the mantel. First personal item in the villa that wasn't mine or Tom's. It looked right there, like it belonged. That night I called Patrick. I got a package today. From? Darren, I think. Photo of Sarah and me, our wedding day. That's a peace offering. That's an acknowledgement. There's a difference. Are you going to respond? No, but I'm not throwing it away either. Progress, then. Maybe. Or maybe just acceptance. May brought tourists. Summer people coming early. The beach filled up. Families, couples, kids building sandcastles. I watched them from the porch. Remembered doing that with Darren and Megan when they were small. Sarah would pack lunch. We'd spend all day out there. Simple times, good times. Maybe they'd been real. Maybe I was remembering wrong. Didn't matter. Those people were gone now. What was left was what was in front of me. Ocean, sky, peace. In June, I hired help for the business. Kid named Alex, 22, fresh out of trade school, eager, respectful, good worker. Having him around made me realize how much I'd missed teaching, passing on knowledge, watching someone grow. He reminded me of young Darren, before the entitlement, before the greed, when my son had actually been curious about the world. I pushed the thought away, couldn't live in the past, had to stay present. July brought Patrick to the villa again, this time with different news. Megan's engaged. I looked up from my coffee. To who? Guy named Steven. He's a teacher. They met at a support group for people dealing with family estrangement. She's in therapy? Has been for 6 months. Serious therapy, working through stuff. Steven's been divorced. Has his own family drama. They're apparently good for each other. When's the wedding? August. Small ceremony. They're not inviting you. Good. I wouldn't know what to say anyway. Would you want to go if they asked? I thought about it. No, that door's closed. Best to leave it that way. Fair enough. Just thought you should know. In August, on the day of Megan's wedding, I worked. Fixed 3 AC units. Replaced a furnace. Taught Alex how to properly braze copper lines. Normal day, normal work. That night, Harriet called. Did you know about Megan's wedding? I knew. And you're not upset you weren't invited? No, Harriet. I'm not upset. I'm relieved. She's moving on. I'm moving on. That's how it should be. You're a strange man, Leonard Hale. I'm a realistic man. There's a difference. Maybe so. September brought fall colors and another letter from Darren. Shorter this time. Dad, still working construction. It's good work. Hard, but honest. Tommy's been great. Gave me a chance when nobody else would. I'm seeing a therapist. Court mandated at first, but I kept going after. Helps. Makes me understand things better. I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted you to know I'm trying. Every day. To be better. I hope you're well. Darren. I read it once. Put it in the drawer with the other one. Didn't respond. But I didn't throw it away either. October came around again. 2 years since the dinner party. 2 years since everything changed. I was sitting on the porch when Kyra pulled up. She got out of a nice car, new clothes, looked successful, put together. Leonard, Kyra, I'm moving to Boston, new job. Marketing director for a tech company. I wanted to say goodbye. Congratulations on the job. Thanks. She came to the porch steps, didn't climb them. We'd learned that boundary. I also wanted to say I'm sorry for everything, for how I treated you, for what I encouraged Darren to do. I was young and stupid and greedy. You were all those things. I know. I'm trying to be better now. Different. The divorce helped, forced me to look at who I'd become. Good luck in Boston. Are you ever going to forgive us? Any of us? I don't know. Forgiveness feels like it needs a relationship to mean something. We don't have that anymore. Fair enough. She turned to leave. Stopped. The photo, the wedding photo, that was my idea. Pushed Darren to do it. Thought you should know. Why? Because some part of me still cares about you, even after everything. Maybe especially after everything. You taught me that actions have consequences. Hard lesson, important lesson. She left. I watched her car disappear down the coastal road. The wind picked up, cold now, winter coming. The ocean was dark gray, waves rough. The villa stood solid, warm lights in the windows, garden tucked in for winter, everything prepared, everything secure. The gravestone was simple. Sarah Margaret Hale, beloved wife and mother, 1963-2021. I stood there looking at it, thought about what to say, settled on the truth. I did what you asked, kept the family together, then I let it fall apart. Both were necessary, both were right. I think you'd understand. I hope you'd understand. The wind blew, leaves scattered across the grave. I cleaned them off, fixed the flowers Patrick had left, stood there another minute, then left. Some conversations don't need answers. December came with Christmas plans, Harriet's community dinner again. I agreed to come. This time, I brought my famous mac and cheese, made it from Sarah's recipe, the one she'd perfected over 20 years, the one that made people ask for seconds. The dinner was crowded, same faces, new faces, normal small-town gathering. I ate, I talked, I laughed at jokes. I was part of something without being consumed by it. Participant, but not dependent. As people were leaving, Harriet pulled me aside. You look good, Leonard. Happy. I'm content, that's close enough. You ever think about dating? Moving on? No, Sarah was it. I'm good with that. Fair enough. But if you change your mind, I know some lovely women. I'll keep that in mind, Harriet. I drove home to the villa. The Christmas lights were on. The tree glowed in the window. The ocean was calm. Everything in its place. Inside, I poured a drink, sat on the couch, looked at the wedding photo on the mantel. Young Leonard, young Sarah, young Hope. I raised my glass to them. We did okay, I said. Different than we planned, but okay. New Year's Eve was quiet. I stayed home, watched the fireworks over the ocean, same as last year, but this time it felt right, felt earned. At midnight, I made a resolution, not to change, not to improve, not to become something different, just to keep being this. Content. Independent. Clear. The phone didn't ring. Nobody came by. I sat alone at 60 years old with a paid-off villa and a profitable business and no family and complete peace. Some people would call that sad. Some people would call that failure. I called it survival. I called it success. I called it enough. The new year started. The ocean kept moving. The villa stood solid. Life continued. And I ate my own food.